Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Long time no see. I'm Heather Stamper, if you didn't know who I was already. And I know I haven't been uploading stuff for a while now, but we've had a lot of stuff come up, health-wise and things like that. Everybody's okay. But yeah, and then end of the school year, and it was just like, I just needed time to recover. Okay, so that being said, I've got a lot of books to catch up on. All right, so I'm going to try and make this as quick and snappy as I can. I may have to break this up into a couple of parts, but that's okay because a lot of books happened while I was going to and fro and here and there and all the places. All right, so let's get this started. I'm going to cover all of the audiobooks that I've listened to since end of February, early March. Okay, so here we go. The first book I listened to was Beauty by Robin McKinley, and it was published the year I was born, for those of you following the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge. So it's about what you would expect. It's a Beauty and the Beast retelling. It's interesting because Beauty is considered the ugly duckling of her family, and she goes to the Beast's palace to fulfill her father's promises, and it's just a tale as old as time. Now, what's interesting about it is the mechanics about how the curse came to be and how the castle is put together and the helpers and things like that. It was a book that she decided to rewrite 20 years later, and because she felt she grew so much as a writer. So I'll probably reread that one later and we can do a comparison or whatever. 4 bookmarks though, because it was a long time ago when I read it, and I was like, oh yeah, that's so cool. And it still tracks pretty well. Okay, the second book I listened to was All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. And this book was on the banned and challenge list in 22. It's a series of personal essays about the author as he navigates his identity. It's considered a primer for young people who wish to be allies, and it's kind of a help for the LGBTQIA plus young people, especially those of color, because there's so much they have to deal with. So it's an interesting perspective. It's not one that I myself would have picked up reading. I'm glad I listened to it because it was a good perspective. 3.5 bookmarks there. And now for the longest book on my to be read list, War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. Oh my, this was long. If I had listened to an hour a day, it would have taken me like almost 2 months or a whole 9 weeks of reading to try and tackle this beast. It is a classic. It's about 5 aristocratic families in Russia and their drama during the Napoleonic Wars, and it's an insight on class and politics and humanity at the time, and how some of the things don't really change between the early 1800s and the 2020s. It was very long, and if an editor was to look at this book today, they probably would have cut out some bits. So with that being said, 3.5 bookmarks. The next one I listened to was Commonwealth by Ann Patchett. And for the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge, it is about a family. Noda. It's a novel spanning 5 decades of drama between 2 families involving desire and divorce and blending and tragedy and truth-telling, and yeah, it was a lot. Now, there were parts of the books where I was just like, oh no, you didn't. You did not just do that. Or, you ick. How could you? And there are parts where I was like, man, do I feel bad for this person? So it did give me a lot of the feels, both positive and negative. So I'm giving it 4 bookmarks for that. In a Dark, Dark Wood by Ruth Ware. It's a book about a vacation. Now, if you've read any of Ruth Ware's books or watched any of the movies, like The Woman from Cabin 10 and Girl on a Train, those books like that, you kind of know what you're getting yourself into. A reclusive writer, Lenora, is invited to an English countryside weekend away, a hen party, what we would call a bachelorette party. She reluctantly agrees to make the trip, but as the first night starts, revelations unfold among the friends, old and new, people that she's known for a long time and people that she's just meeting for the first time. And an unnerving memory shatters Lenora's reserve, and in a haunting realization creeps in that the party is not alone in this woodland paradise here. Da-da. So this is a really good book as far as how to be an unreliable narrator. So if you're writing for an unreliable narrator, you have to have a traumatic past, have a spastic misunderstandings with friends and relations, add some substance abuse, and you got yourself an unreliable narrator because they are not exactly sure what is going on. And their interpretation of events will be very much different than anybody else's. It's formulaic, but it's fun. So I give it 3 bookmarks. The next one I listened to was Dumplin' by Julie Murphy. It has, the Pop Sugar Challenge says that this category is fat lead. It also would qualify for a movie made within the year because it is on Netflix. This book was fun. Okay. Self-proclaimed fat girl, Willowdean Dickinson, dubbed Dumplin' by her former beauty pageant mom, has always been at home in her own skin. Her idea of the ideal swimsuit body is that if I can get into a swimsuit, it's for my body. End of story. Very healthy. She has a crush on her co-worker, a former hot jock named Bo at the local fast food joint. Just gives her the vipers, and she is surprised when he seems to like her back. But instead of having that buoyance of self-confidence that you would get in a relationship, she starts to doubt herself. And it's really like the first time she's feeling really self-conscious about her body and the way that she interacts with other people. She sets out to take back her confidence by doing the most horrifying thing that she can imagine, and that would be to enter the Miss Clover City beauty pageant. YA, yes. Easily patterned, absolutely. There were many funny parts. I laughed quite a bit at certain parts, and other parts I'm like, oh, and other parts I'm like, girl, would you just snap out of it, and so forth. But it was a fun and cute listen of 3.5 bookmarks. The next one was Fleischman is in Trouble by Taffy Brodesser Ackner. Hope I said that right. It's a book about divorce. If you are familiar with the series, well, it's a story about a doctor named Toby, who is a liver specialist by day, and he has his kids every other weekend. He's in the process of getting a divorce from his wife, and he has a very interesting Tinder dating profile. Like, he is quite the playa. And then all that is interrupted when his ex-wife suddenly disappears. The kids are dropped off really early, like middle of the night, and the wife says, you're fine, it's just like you were going to take them in a couple hours anyway, because she was going on a yoga retreat or something, and she just never came back, making for very, very awkward. And it's unsure whether it's for a vision quest or a nervous breakdown. Toby doesn't know. She won't answer his calls or texts. But is his ex just angry like he always perceives her to be? Is she punishing him again for not being the breadwinner she was, because she was in an agency firm and she was pretty top grossing? As he desperately searches to find her and struggling while juggling his job and parenting two unraveling kids, one is his adolescent daughter and the other is his people pleaser younger son, Toby is forced to reckon with the real reasons the marriage fell apart and to ask if the story he's been telling himself is really what's been going on. So it's a good psychological study. It's a good family dynamic story. It had my attention, very much so. Very good character analysis. Had some funny and some cringy moments and some frustration with the characters. Right? So I thought it was a good analysis. I'm giving it 4 bookmarks. The Sandman, Volume 3 by Neil Gaiman for Audible Books. Okay. Now, if you've watched any of the Netflix series, if you listen to any of the other parts, it pretty much follows the mad, crazy storyline that is just so involving and amazing. So this part deals with the stories of Orpheus, Morpheus' son. And if you are a fan of Greek mythology, you know that he has a bad time. And a road trip with his sister Delirium, which was probably my favorite part of the whole series. He goes on this road trip with his crazy sister Delirium to find their estranged brother Destruction, who kind of left the Enclave centuries ago. But it's kind of like Delirium's twin, so she's, when she has all of her marbles together, she really feels, his loss. And so it's a family buddy road trip. And then you get a part where, you have travelers who end up at the resort at the end of the world, Lorelei. And that part was voiced by Will Wheaton, so that was pretty fun. So, hi Gigi, you come to join me? Are you checking the window? It's been primetime kitty TV out the windows here, with all the birds and the squirrels and the ground squirrels and bunny rabbits and deer and all the things, raccoons and possums. We get everything here. And so, what do you see? What do you see? Yeah, was there a stripey? There was a stripey, I'm sure. Carry on near vigilance, my good sir. And he takes off. Good game. So, back to the Sandman. Give it 4 bookmarks because just love doing Gaiman. I'm sorry, I'm biased. It's just good. It's good stuff. Then I listened to A Place for Us by Fatima Farim Mirza. It's a forbidden romance story. It's not like a Shakespearean forbidden romance. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So A Place for Us unfolds the lives of this Indian-American Muslim family that live in their California hometown to celebrate their eldest daughter Hadia's wedding. It's a love match. It's not a traditional arranged marriage, but it's here on this momentous day that the black sheep of the family, Amar, the youngest, reunites with his family for the first time in 3 years. Rafiq and Layla, the parents, are now having to contend with the choices and the betrayals that led to their son's estrangement, and reckoning that the parents who strove to pass on their culture and traditions to their children, did they really do the right thing? And the children who are in turn struggling to balance their authenticity in themselves with their culture. And it is a roller coaster of emotion in a big glass case. I found it very interesting. And then dealing with Amar, which is where the forbidden romance comes in. The main plot point behind him is, it's like he's always been very reckless and, is considered that the bad boy. Do not hang out with that bad boy. It's like, hide your daughters, type thing. He ends up, having a serious crush on one of the wealthier families in the community, which, it's like they've always been good friends, but it's, Amar is not the type of boy that you want to see your daughter getting with, okay? He drinks, he smokes, he breaks halal, he does all sorts of, it's like very questionable things in their community. And because the girl is kind of into him, it's like that's where the relationship starts, and then all sorts of interesting things happen after that. So that's where that goes. So if you're looking for a good family dynamic drama and cultures and things like that, I kept catching myself calling out the characters and like, oh, no, you did not just, don't you know that's what he's trying to do here? Oh my gosh. 4 bookmarks. That's a good sign. If I'm yelling at my radio, or my speaker, it's like, no, don't do that. Don't make that deal. That's a good sign. All right, and the final book of my audio series that from the last couple of months, Lilac Girls, by Martha Hall Kelly. It has the word girl in the title, which is why I picked it. And also, I had been hearing a lot of excellent buzz about it, and so it's like, yeah, let's check it out. So it's based on real people and situations during World War II. Caroline is a reporter and a socialite whose charity is about French orphans and, taking care of them as they're being displaced. Kasia is a Polish teenager who gets involved in the underground movement until she gets caught. And Hertha is a German doctor who thinks a position in this rehabilitation facility will be her ticket out of her dull life until she finds out that that facility is a concentration camp. And the way that these 3 women's lives connect by circumstance, and some of it is just like very logically falls into place. It's like, oh, Kasia getting busted. Of course, that would be the camp that she gets sent to, and things pursue. Caroline is actually a real person that the author was inspired to write about. The doctor was also a real person who did some pretty heinous, horrific things. The only person that was not 100% their own was Kasia, and that's because she became like a collective of the different women's experiences that had to go through the camp. So very compelling story. If you listen to the audiobook, you have 3 different authors reading. It's very distinct and clear, so you always know what's going on. The narrative goes between chapters with each person, and I would say it's a very good book for comparative, for like historical analysis. 5 bookmarks, totally, all the way, all the things. So there you have it, all of my audiobooks that I've done in the last several months. So we're caught up there. I'll do another one on children's books, and then probably another one on physical books that don't meet audio or children's categories. So there you go. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like these types of videos and want to see more of me, please click the like and subscribe button, dingling the notification bell so that you will know when I upload next. I will try and be more consistent with my uploads. All right, everybody, take care. See you soon.